What's happening? Welcome to Fantasy Smack Talk. I'm Dustin, sitting here with Mike. This is the Overvalued show for your 2010 fantasy baseball season. Not necessarily bust, just guys that we think are going too early in the fantasy draft, so just don't touch these guys. First guy is Joe Mauer. Now, obviously, great catcher, best catcher in the league by far, but the story here, average draft position, 13. I've never, in all the years I've played fantasy, seen a catcher go that early. Obviously, like I said, he's the best catcher in the league, but it's the most injury-plagued position, and they historically get the least amount of at-bats. Let someone else take him that early, and try to get one of the catchers in the middle rounds.
And this is coming from a Twins fan,
I know.
So listen to him here. Next guy on the list is another catcher in Benji Molina with an average draft position of 163. Now, he's 35 years old, and he's still the first catcher going after some of the big names. In 2009, although he did have 20 home runs, his average dropped, his RBIs dropped, and his strikeout rates increased. Now, that's not a good sign for a guy that's turning 35 or 36 years old this season. And it's also worth noting that Buster Posey, a catcher prospect, may eventually take over that job.
All right, let's get into a few starting pitchers, and we start with Chris Carpenter. I mean, I had this guy last year. Obviously, great year. He made a lot of his owners happy, especially if they were able to just pick him up off the waiver wire. But with an average draft position of 73, I mean, that's somewhat reasonable. But we've seen him go in as early as the 5th round, and that's over a lot of good, big-name pitchers. It seems like everyone's forgetting that he's been one of the most injury-plagued pitchers of the last decade. And it's just way too big of a gamble to take because he can very easily get that injury bug again.
Next guy on our list is Javier Vasquez with an average draft position of 62.
Gross.
This is ridiculous. Listen to this. He's only posted a sub-4 ERA in 4 out of his 11 seasons before 09. That's just insane. I don't see why people are taking him this early. He's being taken before pitchers like Josh Johnson. He's being picked before the first closer in most drafts. And only 6 picks after Wainwright. So this is, avoid him if you can at that part of your draft.
Yeah, I'd much rather have the best closer in the league than Vasquez.
Yeah.
It's that Yankee love. I don't know what it is. All right, we got another pitcher for you, and that's Steven Strasburg. Now, all the reports saying he's going to start the league and start the year in the minors. And you know what happens. You draft him, and then you got to wait him out. You don't even get to put him on your DL. You got to wait him out for a couple months. And then even when it comes up, it's just a big question mark. Let someone else take him. There's plenty of other young arms with big upside that are going to start the year in the majors, where you can actually get stuff for your fantasy team.
Next guy on our list is closer in Bobby Jenks with an average draft position of 158. He had an ERA close to 4 last year and a declining ground ball and strikeout rate, which is definitely a warning sign, big red flag if you're looking for a quality closer. It's also worth noting that elite setup man Matt Thornton and former closer J.J. Putz will be sitting in the bullpen nipping on his heels all year, so he's going to be on a very short leash, and for where you're going to have to take him in the draft, he's not a very safe closer pick.
Next, we got Mark Reynolds. Obviously, amazing year last year. The guy finally got that power stroke going, but he did strike out over 220 times, but that's a different story. But here's the real story. Average draft position, 20. Going over guys like Holiday, Jimmy Rollins, Ellsbury. Now, I'm not saying that Reynolds can't do it again, but why take a gamble that early in the draft for a guy that could very easily go back to his 230 batting average?
And strike out 200 times.
Yeah, and strike out another 220 times and shit.
Yeah. The last guy on our list is Josh Hamilton. Average draft pick of 55.
55?
That's ridiculous. So this, we said this last year, and we'll say it again, but he still only had 1/2 of a good year back in 2008. Now, don't get us wrong, he certainly has power and a lot of potential, but he's certainly not a safe early round pick in our book.
Again, these are guys that we just think are overvalued, not necessarily bust, but for where they're going in the draft, we would let someone else take them. That's it for this episode. As always, check out all of our other tiers and rankings videos, and we have a top 150 cheat sheet on our site, FantasySmackTalk.com. Great thing to print off and have during a draft. I'm Dustin, this is Mike. We'll see you next time.